Saludos and salutations, Broncos country, and welcome back into another exciting episode of Broncos Talk. Ladies and gentlemen, we have got a banger for you guys today. I know there's going to be a lot to talk about. Everything that happened last Thursday, the good, the bad, and the Baki. We're going to get down to all of it. Plus, we have an update for you guys in the overtime section of the Broncos Overtime segment show. Who has the lead in terms of the points? Who caught up? Who's trailing? Who's leading? We have all of that stuff for you guys. So please make sure that your food is warm, that your beer is cold, that you do not want to miss a single moment of today's show. So, and I got to say, I know we make fun of Johnny Baki on the show a lot, but just so everybody knows, we love that guy. And happy Veterans Day, belated Veterans Day to him and all the other vets out there in Broncos country. Thank you guys so much for what you do. But at the same time, I'm cooler than Johnny, and he knows it. Let's go.
Broncos talk, let's rock, feel the energy rise. From the microphone to the fans reaching the skies. Every episode, a thrill and surprise. For the love of the game, we harmonize.
And welcome back in, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Adan Diaz, and joining me to my left or right, depending on which direction you're watching, is my co-host, El Bronco Libre.
What's happening, Broncos country? Let's go.
Libre, how much time do we have to talk about what happened this past Thursday? Because
I think we had all the time that we used on the backstage. So yes, acabó.
you think that's it? Like we ain't got no more
Nah,
time?
no, we got time. We have all the time that we need to discuss this. But you know what? Like, there's gonna be some good. There's some bad. There might even be some ugly stuff.
Right.
But we have time to talk about everything that happened.
I mean, me and you we had a good conversation backstage before we started the show. And ladies and gentlemen, we are going to get to all the good details that we just got done talking about. But make sure you guys, again, thank you guys so much for joining us. If this is your first time here, welcome. If not, welcome back. Before we get started with all the good and festivities here, we got a couple of things we'd like to ask you guys to do for us before we get started, just like we do at the start, before the start of every show. First, Libre and I would like to ask you if you could please subscribe, share, comment, or like on this and all of the shows here on the Orange and Blue Network. Ladies and gentlemen, without you, Libre and I are just two guys talking to each other in a camera into an empty vastness of nowhere. So thank you guys so much for showing your support for us here. If there's something you guys hear us talk about and you're not able to join us live, please feel free to hit that comment section, and Libre and I will be do our best to get back to you guys ASAP. For any business inquiries, you can email at broncostalk2020@gmail.com. For those of you listening to us through the audio version of podcast, doesn't matter what platform you're in, 5-star reviews are always well appreciated. If you would like to send us a screenshot of that review, Libre and I would more than be happy to share it with you guys on the air. Excuse me. Our Twitter handles are right there at the bottom of the screen in case you can't see them. Mine is at a 6'10" Mexican. Bronco Libre is at Bronco Libre 5280. Ladies and gentlemen, today's show is brought to you by W. You might be asking yourself, what the heck is W? Basically, it's no sugar, calories, no maltodextrin, no fillers, and no artificial colors. It was formulated with nothing but amino acids, B vitamins, and nootropics, including the patented neurofactor nootropic and the caffeine, which is derived directly from the coffee fruit. So it's all the good stuff without all the bad, as we like to say around here. And just to show you guys how awesome they are, and also the guys over at the Nothing Wrong with Orange and Blue podcast, they want to hook you up with 10% off your order at checkout when you use the code OBN10. Again, that code is OBN10 to get your 10% off your order at checkout. Shout out to W and the guys over at the Nothing Wrong with for hooking you, me, and Libre up with this amazing and exciting offer. Also, ladies and gentlemen, we have the show scheduled for you guys in case you're new to the show and you cannot just get enough of this show and you want more Bronco Libre, because I don't blame you. But
do you even Libre, bro?
Yeah, exactly. Do you even Libre, bro? So, ladies and gentlemen, all the times that I'm going to say to you are in Mountain Time. Please keep that in mind. Every Monday and Friday at 11 a.m., we have the Orange and Blue Blitz. Every Monday at 7, we have the Broncos Bros, because do you even Broncos, bro? At 7. Tuesdays, we have the flagship show, the Nothing Wrong with Orange and Blue podcast, which airs at 7:30 p.m. On Wednesdays, we share the spotlight with the Mile Symposium. For those of you that are just more than Broncos fans, that are Avalanche and Rockies fans, they go live every Wednesday at 2:30 p.m. just before we do. And then, of course, we have our 6 p.m. show, the current show you're watching, of course. And then we have the Mile High Outcast that go live at Thursdays at 7 p.m. And then on Friday, we have the only Spanish show, which is Viva los Broncos, Friday at 7. By the way, I want to apologize to our Spanish listeners, viewers, for the fact that we have not been on the air for the last 2 weeks. That's totally my fault. You can put that blame on me, but we will be back this Friday. Breaking news for the Fresh Squeeze. Anything that happens in Broncos country is brought to you live. So make sure you have that live notification button so that you never miss a single episode of the Fresh Squeeze. And then every pregame, we have the Get Buck pregame show with the guys breaking down all the stuff going into that big game. Then we have the play-by-play for the bucking booth. So for those of you that are not able to watch the game on TV and you just need to listen to the game in, please feel free to join us in that to get the play-by-play of the action. And then we have the post game, which is the Buck Your Feelings post game show, which airs after every single game, regardless of the result. And thankfully, the last couple of weeks, Libre, we have been on a winning streak. So
let's see, not 1, not 2, not 3. It went from 6, 7.
Oh, shut it up, Libre. Now, I will say, because I have had people ask me, how come I'm not on a lot of the pre or post game shows? Unfortunately, I get stuff to do at home on Sundays, and I try to do as much of it as I can. But Johnny doesn't like me, so he says that I can't do the pre or post game show because he says I can't curse.
Yeah, I agree with him.
No, I'm just kidding. But no, it's. I'm going to be on the show one of these days, whichever one Johnny lets me come on, and probably the pregame show, because I know, like I said, thankfully we have not lost a game the last 6 games. We've won the last 6, so
7 in a row.
But please stay tuned for my re-debut into the pre or post game show, whichever one I can get ahead to. But Libre, enough with the jokes, my friend. We have to get down to some business. And that's basically the ugly game that was Thursday Night Football. Now, Libre and I were talking before the show, guys, and every single person within my vicinity after that game on Thursday, on Friday, came up to me and said the same thing. What the F is going on with the Broncos? That was an ugly game. It was every single bad thing you can say about that team. And let me just say, for the record, before I turn it over to Libre and I were watching the same game. Only difference is Libre was actually seeing it in real time with him and the Lucha Bros. I was watching it on a TV screen. But it was like we were both in sync because we both had the same mentality going through our heads, regardless of whether we were a few feet away from them or 1,000 miles away. That offense looked terrible on Thursday night, sorry. And to me, the biggest disappointment thing is that Bo Nix owns the Raiders. You guys remember last year when he hung 33 points on the Raiders' head in his first matchup against the Raiders? That's what I was expecting, especially going into another year. He already knows how the Raiders operate. He already knows he can beat them, and he has yet to lose to the Las Vegas Raiders. But what we saw, and this is talking through the aspect of the offense, mind you, what we saw offensively was just terrible. It's not the caliber of what the Broncos standards are, regardless of which party you're talking about. Special teams, defense, well, not defense, because defense has been playing lights out, but the offense. They were not playing how they were supposed to be, Libre. And for them to have walked out of Mile High with just with 10 points, to me, I'm with everybody when they say that the offense was bad, because it was. In that game, it was. However, on the other hand, Libre, the Broncos did enough where they had to put more points than the other team to win. Again, you want to criticize this offense? I'm all for it. It was terrible. It needs to be better. That I have no problem with. But the defense was going out there, and they've been doing what they've been doing for the last 9 years, which was bailing the offense out. That's how they won a Super Bowl, Libre. So what are your thoughts about that?
Coming into this game with a high anticipation that we were going to go in and we felt like we're going to put some points up on them. But I feel like Sean Payton is somehow holding us back a little bit. And I have to just say, like, with this team, I just have to say thank God for our defense. Our defense is top-notch, and they're proving it day in and day out right now. Yes, we are going to be a little bit thin now with Singleton going to be out now for the next couple of weeks. Still, PS2 is going to be out. So we have some issues that we have right now, which we're going to need to step up even more this week, because this Kansas City O is going to be good. But this defense, going back to this game on this last Thursday, we had the feeling, the anticipation going into this game, the tailgate and everything else, like we were going to go in there and dominate, and we didn't. And especially with the offense itself, the way that they were struggling, that is a concern, I think, for everyone in Broncos country that's out there. But I do feel that this is something that is correctable. And if we can get Bo Nix in a situation where he can actually produce and play, we're going to be there. One of my big things that I had, and I mentioned this several different times, for some reason, he cannot hit Evan Ingram for nothing. There was like 3 or 4 different times where he actually underthrew him, overthrew him. He couldn't get him out there. There was a point where he actually had a point where he overthrew Evan Ingram, but then the very next play, he threw that touchdown to Sutton. So it's like, I don't understand why he can't hit Evan Ingram for some reason. That needs to get corrected quick, because he's that outlet that you're going to need going into this weekend's game with KC, because he's going to need that to be able to get Cortland Sutton, to get hopefully Marvin Mims coming back. I know that he didn't practice today. He was out, but hopefully he's able to get back. And that's another thing, our special teams. Our special teams needs to step it up too, because that was lackluster on all aspects of special teams: return, kicking, punting, everything. If we can get that corrected, I don't see us having an issue with Kansas City this weekend. And just like last year, I think we finally got their number, and I feel like we're going to be able to put some points up on that defense and be able to do something against them, and our defense to be able to hold them back. And I think that the key for this right now is our front four. If our front four can do and get pressure onto them, just like how the Bills did, it's going to be an easy day for the defense itself. And I feel that our front four is going to be able to do that.
Let's talk, before I go into my rant again, let's say hi to the chat here. Your cousin Juan Marquez saying, "What's up, guys? Let's go Broncos country."
What's up? Hey, one thing before we go on the other comments.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you saw this or not, but we were, me and my cousin, we all got onto the field itself for the national anthem and all that. What an amazing experience. Like if you have an opportunity to do that, go out there and do that and just take it in, because when you're out there, because we were there doing a practice and you're looking at the stands empty and it's like feels like so small, and it's like, damn, this isn't as big as it is. But when you get back in there and actually see the actual people in the stands, you're like, dang, this is a huge stage. But then after the game, directly right after that game, the Broncos and the Penner Group started to replace the whole field. So they replaced all of it. And I talked to my cousin about it. I said, hey, just so you know, I don't know if you saw this or not, but I just sent you this video or the photo of them replacing the field. And he goes, why? What's going on? I go, for some reason, they found cabbage all over the field. So they had to go in there and replace it. Only he and I know this. It's an inside joke. If you want to know more about it, send me a DM and we'll talk about it.
Yeah. Mahai Medlock saying, how's it going, fellas? It was a blast meeting Libre last week.
Medlock, it was great meeting you as well, brother. Then we have to do it again.
And then your cousin also jumping in and saying, my thoughts on the game. We did what we had to do to get a win. It was ugly. Yes, Casey game is a must win for us in Broncos country. With that being said, ladies and gentlemen, to my next point, Libre. The Broncos are being called the worst team to be 8-2 because of our offense. So let's talk about that. If the Broncos are being called the worst 8-2 team because of our offense, because Bo Nix isn't going out there and putting up points like he did against the Cowboys, let's look at the other two 8-2 teams. The Colts that just played in Germany against the Falcons. That was a team that they were supposed to steamroll. And that game almost ended in a freaking tie. That game was almost lost by Daniel Jones. That game was won by Jonathan Taylor, just like most of their games have been won by Jonathan Taylor, because Jonathan Taylor has been playing lights out. Mm-hmm. He's been playing fantastic. He's probably running back one in this league and a front runner for possible MVP of the league. So with that being said, especially with Daniel Jones regressing after, week 4, week 5, he started throwing interceptions. That game against Pittsburgh was the ugliest game for them so far. But nobody's talked about them. Nobody said, hey, Indianapolis is still showing up on people's top 5, top 3 lists. In some cases, they're number 1. Nobody's saying anything about them being the worst 8-2 team, especially with the defense giving up what they've been giving up. They're dealing a divorce. But, yeah, they went out and got Sauce Gardner, which is great. But it's going to take time for him to get acclimated into that type of defense and scheme and all that. But nobody's saying anything about that. They're winning their games because Jonathan Taylor is, aside from that Steelers game, has been almost unstoppable to beat. New England Patriots. Their offensive line needs a lot of work. Drake May has been sacked more times than probably Tom Brady has in a season, I want to say. It's not a stat. It's just an opinion. Mm-hmm. But that man has gotten sacked so many times, but yet he's still able to go up there and put the ball in Stephon Diggs' hands, or Kenyon Butte needs to put the ball where it is. Trevion Henderson just had a breakout game last week. And despite all that, they're still an 8-2 team. Nobody's saying anything about them. Mike Vrabel coaching his ass off. Josh McDaniels doing what he does best as an offensive coordinator. And Drake May, even though he keeps taking all those hits, he's still going out there and doing what he has to do to put the W on the board. But yet they're only winning because of Drake May. Nobody's saying anything about their offensive line being a turnstile and letting Drake May take all those hits and sacks and whatnot. So the fact that all these analysts can overlook those things on those two teams and not being able to say, and just say that the Broncos are the worst 8-2 team. There was even one person who compared them to what the Chiefs were doing in terms of Black Voodoo Magic. I forget where I read that, but I read that today. And that could be far from the truth. All right. what the Chiefs were doing last year was beyond that. It was like something we have never seen in the league before. What these Broncos are doing this year, they're doing it because the defense is going out there and they're putting belt to ass on the teams that they need to be. Think about it. The Broncos have only lost 2 games, and neither of those games were blowouts. The Colts game was lost because of a bull crap referee call. And the second one was the only time the Broncos defense gave up a lead.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So none of them were blowouts. None of them were games where you can honestly say that the Broncos defense looked like crap. The Giants game, there was no tape on Jackson Dart. A lot of people took him for granted. Same thing with Cam Skidabo. And the Broncos came back and won that game because of the offense and the defense that finally woke up and got the stops and the interception they needed to do. So the fact that people can go out there and say that the Broncos are the worst 8-2 team pisses me off. You can criticize the offense all you want, which is fine with me. I have no problem with it. It's the title of this show, and it's not going to be the first and last time we hear about it. But when you say something like that, you throw that Super Bowl caliber defense into that regard, because the Broncos are a football team. All right. So, and there's 3 different aspects to it. Like Libre and I were talking about earlier. There's the offense, there's the defense, and there's special teams. You guys just heard Libre say special teams, they need to get better. They have a lot of work to do. I agree. The offense, definitely. But when you get a win, Libre, it doesn't matter if you win by 1 or you win by 30. You're not going to move up any higher on the list if you beat your team by a certain amount of points. What matters is you get that W or you get that L. Think about it, ladies and gentlemen. The last couple of years, the last 9 years, how many games have the Broncos lost because the offense wasn't able to put up, what was it? What was the margin, Libre? Like 18 to 20 points? If they would have done that, they would have won so many games.
Yeah.
And they weren't able to do that. So again, if you're going to criticize this team, you have to be careful how you make your point, because when you go after the entire team, that's what I have an issue with. All right. And I will not stand idly by and hear somebody talk smack about this team when they really want to talk about the offense. Again, I don't have no problem with that. That's criticism that definitely needs to be said, needs to be criticized. But when you throw the entire team in a ball together, Libre, that's what I have a problem with.
So the next question is going to be, is this weekend, what if the Broncos go out and beat Kansas City 10-7? Same way, same style, whatever you want to call it. They go out there and still beat Kansas City 10-7. What are the people going to say about this in particular game? They're going to say, dang, that was probably one of the best games out there. And the Broncos went out there and they did so awesome that they went out there and beat Kansas City 10-7. Doesn't matter how ugly or whatever the play was, but because it's just the name of the team that they beat in Kansas City, and they're saying, yes, this is going to be a great game. But when they do it against the Raiders, oh, man, they played. That was terrible. That is so ugly. It still doesn't matter. Like, the narrative's still going to be there. When we look at the end of the day, at the end of Sunday, where's that tally mark? Is it underneath the L or is it underneath that W? Because at the end of the day, that's all that really matters. Did your team win? Did it lose? Did they win by 100, like how you said? Or did they just win by 1 point? It doesn't matter what at that point. You have to go out there and be with that W. That's what you're looking for. And if it is 10-7 or if it is 7-3, whatever the case may be, you were out there and you got that W, no matter how you got it. You went out there and you did it. So, but again, I feel like this weekend's going to be a little bit more different. We're going to be able to put points up because this defense is not as good. You still have Max Crosby that's out there. With Chris Jones, I don't know if he's going to be he's not the player that he has been the last couple of years because I haven't heard his name much itself. And I feel like we're going to be able to contain him. Our offensive line, yes, it might be the same offensive line from last year, but I feel that our offensive line has gotten better. And you can see that as well. One thing that is going to be concerning for me is like we're going to need to run the ball this weekend. And with J.K. Dobbins still questionable about going out there and playing this weekend, that's going to be the question for us right now is we need to be able to run the ball this weekend. And if we are going to be able to do that, this team is going to beat Kansas City without a doubt.
I agree with you, Libre. I really do. Now the Broncos are trying to reload and put ammo out there for Bo Nix. I know they signed Lil Jordan Humphrey to the practice squad, and there's a good chance he'll be elevated to play. So he already knows how to play in a Sean Payton offense. The only thing that's different is he's going to be catching passes from Bo Nix and not Russell Wilson. But again, I don't think people are going to take the Broncos seriously when they beat the Chiefs. It's going to be I can already hear the excuses. Patrick Mahomes had a bad game. Andy Reid had a bad game. The Chiefs had. It's just going to come down to somebody having a bad game. And I feel that the Broncos still won't get the respect that they deserve for beating Kansas City. Now, I think the most ludicrous thing I heard was from Colin Cowherd, where he literally called out or said out loud that the Broncos need to go and get another quarterback. And I damn near fell out of my chair, Libre.
You know, one thing about it is, like, we have Jarrett Stidham. We have him. I don't know if you saw him during the preseason. He's a damn good backup quarterback. But you know what? Bo Nix is better right now. That's why Bo Nix is a starting quarterback and Stidham is the backup. And if we had any issues or we had concerns right now with Bo Nix, trust me, Sean Payton I don't think he would hesitate in putting Stidham in there, knowing the capability of what Stidham is able to do. But again, that's why Bo Nix is in there. He's the better quarterback of the two right now. And he's going to take us to that promised land. Like, it's going to be there. And just like I mentioned last year, it's a progression. He just gets better and better. And yes, this last game wasn't that good, but guess what? After this game this weekend, we're going to have 6 more games left in the year. And those 6 games are we're going to be able to put more on his plate and this is what my hope is, that I'm hoping that Sean Payton just gives them and lets him play, because we mentioned the Giants game. You just let him go out there and play in that Giants game, and look what happened. Yes, we had other factors too that happened as well, but that's where our defense comes in. Our defense is the number 1 defense in the league for a reason, and they showed it, and they showed out, and they continue to do that week in and week out. Even with the offense struggling, we're there. And they say, what happens? Defense wins you championships. And this defense is going to take us to that promised land. Even like if we go talk about it, that 2015 season, our defense was top notch. And they're the reasons why we did win the Super Bowl was because of that. We didn't have a top tier offense that we did 2 years prior for Super Bowl 48, the 2013 season. You know, that's part of it. And this defense is there. And all we need to do is have our offense give us enough points so that we'll have the lead, and our defense will take care of everything else, and they'll shut them down.
You know, that's how old I'm getting, Libre. We did the half of this podcast without our background. Hey, that's my bad, Johnny. That falls on me, man. Me and Libre got so heated about this topic backstage. I didn't even notice the freaking background.
You know what? And I actually noticed it all right away as well. I said, what's up with our background?
Yeah.
And it's just because we got into it right away.
Yeah. Normally, Libre and I shoot the breeze at the start of before we start the show, but we literally dove right into it. Everything that you guys heard us say is literally what Libre and I were talking about. The only thing that we're leaving out are all the expletives, because Johnny says we can't curse. the really bad ones, not the simple ones. But we got to talk a little bit about this Raiders game, Libre. What on the other side of the ball, what we saw out of that Raiders team was exactly what I've been saying about the Raiders since week 1. That team is being terribly coached. Pete Carroll had no business keeping Geno Smith in that game, especially when he saw that his quarterback was obviously injured. And instead, I get it. Geno Smith's probably trying to play for some pride, or the fact that he's heard everything that's been said about him, that he is nowhere near what he was his first year with Seattle. But when you're that beat up, there is no reason for you to keep putting, because that's also detrimental to the team, Libre. If you go out there and you make things for worse, and D-Rock saying shout out to Gino, he's a tough SOB, which he might be, D-Rock, but at the same time, like there's times to be tough, and then there's times where it's like, hey man, I can't go, I can't do it, because Gino was never meant for that type of system. Him and Pete Carroll are not coinciding or working together. It is not working for them, man. I thought that them getting Ashton Genty would be a reliever in case Geno Smith, can't go or it's not working. That at least Ashton Genty can be the guy to kind of take the top off and just run the ball, make defenses choose like, hey, either you stack the box or you spread it out. But that hasn't worked either. And they look terrible. Libre. They absolutely looked terrible. And they're lucky that our offense was not able to put more points on their head like we all thought that they were. Now, they will meet again in just a few weeks, but don't expect that to change anything different, because even with the Broncos on the road, they play a whole lot harder and more dangerous when they're outside of Mile High this season. So they need to go back to the drawing board. I'm not a Raiders fan, Libre, but I will say that Pete Carroll should not coach this team again next year, because if he does, the Broncos are going to be owning the Raiders for a really, really long time.
I think when he signed like a 2-year deal. So I feel like if the Raiders are going to be Raider things, they're going to keep him for another year. While we were practicing for the flag ceremony itself, it was pretty cool where they had a standing was close to the Raiders locker room, and Pete Carroll walked right by us, and I didn't realize how short he really was. But the way that he walks, though, it's like he has a bow-legged walk, and he just has that like shoulders forward and all that, and trying to swing like he's a big man and all that, which was real funny to see. But then we had like Geno Smith walk by too. It's like, I didn't realize he's a pretty tall guy. And but the thing is, it's like you could see sometimes like the preparation, the getting ready, like it didn't look like he was truly there for the game itself, like just looking at him. But then when we were actually out on the field with the flag and all that, you saw Bo Nix, him getting ready to throw. Fair enough, he was about 20 to 25 yards away from me where I was at. But him just being there, being able to see him, like his eye-to-hand coordination, juggling the balls that he has and so forth, just him getting ready, like seeing that focus that he's there. He's probably the first guy that's there at the stadium before anybody else, and he's already out there preparing and all that. One thing that I did love seeing is we also saw Evan Ingram out there getting ready for the game as well. If we can get those two, like I was mentioning earlier, we can get those two connected. Like, man, this team is going to be dangerous. This offense is going to be dangerous. They just need to connect. And hopefully we can figure something out in these last 7 games here in the season. And if we can, like, man, we're going to be deadly in the playoffs.
I agree. We have a name here that I haven't seen in I don't know if they're new here, but maybe not in a while. Chris Bacon saying the O-line isn't bad, to be honest. They're one of the best in the whole league right now. I think Bo needs to have more confidence running with the ball. Libre and I were literally saying this earlier. I don't know what it is with Sean Payton and his knack or just an inability to not stop running wide receiver screens. On 3rd and 1, Libre, what the hell was up with that trick play? That is not the time for a trick play. All you need is 1 yard. Why in the world would you call that and then have Cortland Sutton scrambling? It looked like he wanted to throw the ball, but he didn't throw it. He just went down, and
yeah.
It turned into a loss of yards. Like, that is not when you go for a trick play. Your offense is struggling. Why are, like, it is just so, like, you want to pull your hair if you have any on your head, Libre. Like, oh my God.
I agree with you 100%, but I also can see why he's trying to do that as well, is to help create some type of momentum, some type of, if he does go out there and Cortland does actually throw that ball and we get the first down, that just adds that spark. All right, now the juices are flowing and whatnot. So I could see part of why he did that. But then again, like how you just said, why are we doing that? Knowing that our trick plays don't work. We don't have the wide receivers that are going to be out there to be able to block for you. So that's why those bubble screens don't really work for us here. We mentioned this last week. We mentioned it the week before, that the other teams, like the Giants, with the Giants game, that the bubble screen for them does work because they have wide receivers that can block the corners, that can block the safeties that are coming up. We just don't have that capability right now with the type of wide receivers that we currently have. We don't. They don't have the size that the other teams do. The only guy that could possibly do that right now for us is Cortland Sutton. But you want him to be, he's your number one wide receiver, and you need him to be the guy that's going out there and catching those balls and then being able to get there with blocks. But if we can't get Franklin to block, if we can't get Mims out there to block as well, that's the thing, is that we need to have these guys out there. But talking about the running game, it's like, we have J.K. Dobbins. He's the only one that's been consistent and hard running right now for us. And with his questionability for this weekend's game, is going to be a hard one to deal with because, RJ Harvey is not quite there yet. He still needs time in this league to learn how to run and how to see the vision. I don't think he has the vision quite yet for our offense itself. J.K. Dobbins does. So with the other guys, with Estime, well, we don't have Estime anymore, but with Natty and McLaughlin, we don't have those guys to be able to go out there and do that. And that's something that we need. And I feel like Sean Payton doesn't trust these other guys. He trusts J.K. Dobbins, but we don't have that trust in those other guys because we haven't seen them power rush. We haven't seen them with that vision to be able to make that one cut back and hitting the hole hard. They just don't do it yet. And it needs to happen quick because in the playoffs, we're going to need that.
To be honest with you, Libre, our running game went out the door with Ben Powers. If you haven't noticed, when Ben Powers went out, like the running game has been what it was the last couple of years. Like it just went dead. And that just goes to show you how important having Powers out there is. Those two guys that are kind of rotating in that position, they're decent, but they're playing in their role of backup. They are not able to open up the gaps and the holes for the running backs to run through, and they got to try up there and keep up with Wattenberg and with Miners and in some plays the right and left tackles. But I feel like the running game won't be back up to what it is, Libre, until Ben Powers comes back from his injury, which I think they're saying early December to mid at the most, if I'm not mistaken. So we should, I think by the Jacksonville Jaguars game, which I think is mid-December, is when he's...
Yeah, it's a month away from now. So, because it's, what is it, December 14th is that game?
Mm-hmm.
And you know what's also talking about that game? Travis Hunter being out for the rest of the season as well, which I was anticipating to see him there play here in Denver with the Jags versus Broncos. Now we don't even get to see that. So, that's a sad story on its own. He hurt himself during practice, and then he went on getting surgery. So it sucks for him. He was having a good year so far too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But let's shift gears over, Libre, to it's Chiefs week, round one of Chiefs week. The Kansas City Chiefs went into their bye week with a very ugly loss to the Buffalo Bills. So their confidence going into this game is not going to be where it normally is in terms of it being high. And it's like, oh, it's the Broncos and, it's going to be a cakewalk for the Chiefs. There's going to be none of that. Okay. Only Chiefs fans are the only ones saying that it's going to be an easy win for Kansas City. But when you look at their record speaks for itself. Like there has not been the only easy win that they've had, Libre, was against the Raiders, where they hung up, 30-something points on them and shut them out. That's the only easy win Kansas City had. Every other win they've had to, fight and scratch to win, and in some cases they lost. So I really do hope that Kansas City walks into Mile High thinking that they're just going to cakewalk these Broncos, because if they have that intention or idea, they've got another thing coming. Now, I've never been to a rivalry game, Libre. The games that I've been to at Mile High have always been against other AFC or NFC opponents. But what is the energy at Mile High Field when it's Chiefs week? Like, is there animosity with Chiefs fans walking around, or is it just people talking smack? Like what's going on?
The vibe for these games are so much different. The difference between, say, a normal other game besides a divisional game, and I feel like it's everywhere around the league. Doesn't matter. Just because they're a divisional rival, it's just heightened. We were talking about it earlier backstage, that it doesn't matter what the records are, like how for great example with the Raiders and Broncos, and the record-wise, these games always seem to be closer than normal because it's the familiarity that you have with each other. You see them so often. You already have. It's just like, doesn't matter if you are 10-0 or 1-8, whatever the case may be. These games always seem to be a lot closer than normal, or a big upset. Great example this last weekend: Buffalo Bills and the Miami Dolphins. You never know. We picked the Dolphins. I know we all picked the Bills. Everyone picked the Bills. Nobody had picked the actual Miami Dolphins to win that game. But then they go out there and do that and blank Miami the way that they did. It's a different vibe just in the stadium, around tailgating. Everything is like, whenever I'm tailgating, though, it's always fans of fans. That's what we support. That's what we do, is fans of fans. But then as soon as the kickoff happens, that's when we're rivals for the next 2.5 hours, 3 hours. And at the end of the game, it's being respectful again. But it's always that good banter. I've never really had a true bad experience with any fans-wise itself. But it's just that vibe is just different. It's just, you just feel it a little bit more. And like my cousin Juan, he'll tell you the experience as well. This was his first Raider game that he's ever been to. This is he's been to Monday night games. He's been to Monday night games, Sunday night games. He's been to all of them now. And now he's experienced the Thursday night game with the divisional rival. And he just says, man, it's just something different. It's just out there. And it is. But it's so much fun. The excitement that's out there. And, you're always, both sides, always talking stuff. Doesn't matter what the record is, like I mentioned, but you're always talking stuff and all that. And that's what makes it so good. And so, like, the energy that's out there, and you just, that anticipation, which is so much fun.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of all the games that I went to. I've seen them play the Cowboys, the Jets, the Texans, the Colts, the Panthers, the Jets, and when they came here to Chicago, the Bears, when they had when it was after the Miami massacre. So, and even then, Libre, it was just like, it's kind of hard for me to put it in words, just how everybody's going to be so enveloped on Kansas City. Because every single list that especially the rankings that I've been reading, it's like, oh, the Chiefs are going to come back, and it's going to start with Denver. Like, no, it's not. This is the same person who said the same thing about, they're going to play Jacksonville, and it's going to start with Jacksonville. They lost that game. Oh, it's going to start with Buffalo. It's going to start with Buffalo. They lost that game. It's going to start with the Chargers. They lost that game.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then the Giants. They suffered the same fate that we had to, where we had to struggle to beat the Giants. It wasn't just a cakewalk for them like they initially thought.
So going back to my earlier statement about us beating them 10-7, if that was the case, and they call it a big win for us. But you go back and look at the Kansas City's wins and losses right now. All of their wins for right now, probably for maybe the exception of one game, are all against teams that are below 500. All of their losses that they have are teams that are above 500. So this team, this Kansas City team, is almost the complete opposite of what they were last year. They even had a stat, even with the Broncos, the way that we were winning and losing games, with it being a one possession game, and it's like almost reversed, like our win loss columns itself. It's because we're going out there and being able to produce at the time when we need to and win the games. You could look at it as well. The Broncos could be undefeated right now. Those two last second field goals that happened to give us our two losses for the season. You just look at it and flip it that way. We could be 10-0 right now, as we sit right now. And I feel like this team is, yes, they may not be playing good at some points, but they're doing enough to continue to put W's up on the board. And that's all that really matters. Like we said earlier, we look at the end of the day, did you win? Did you lose? Doesn't matter if it's good, ugly, or bad. It's a W. That's all that matters at the end of the day.
And also, before we forget, ladies and gentlemen, Libre and I would like to wish a speedy recovery to Alex Singleton.
Yes.
That was a really scary thing for him to go through, and we're definitely going to miss his presence out there on the field this week, because I'm guessing it's going to be the first time that Justin Sternad and Dre Greenlaw take the field together as starting linebackers. So it'll be interesting to see who the Broncos put behind them, Libre, because I don't think we heard anything a lot from Drew Sanders. Is he even still on?
Well, he is on IR, but he is eligible to come back already. So that's So that's another thing that I did hear, that especially today, that he might be able to come back and be on the active roster, depending if he's ready to go. But again, that we do have one roster spot open, and it could be for him itself. Again, and that they have until Saturday to make that decision itself. So hopefully we can get that. But going back to Alex, just as a random drug test that he found out the week prior to that game, I think it was Monday that he found out that he had that. And then to go out there and actually play the game, he's one tough SOB, because last year he tore his ACL and played the whole game on a torn ACL. Then come to find out that he has cancer, and then playing that game, and then immediately the day after that game on Friday of last week, that's when he had surgery. So he's one tough cookie out there, and you can't go out there and deny how tough this guy is. Mm-hmm. He is if he had the ability to be out here and playing on Sunday, he would be.
This is the same man who last year wanted to play with what did he use, ACL or whatever?
Yeah, he had no ACL.
Yeah,
he played the whole game. It happened in that first series. I think it was the third play of the game when he tore his ACL, and he finished that game off there in Tampa Bay. So it's just nuts on how tough he is, because I haven't torn my ACL. I dislocated my kneecap, but I was out 1 week. But to be able to plant, especially being a middle linebacker where you're out there running and stopping on a dime, and if you don't have that ligament, you're not stopping, your whole body's still going with you. But for him to be able to do that, that's straight toughness. I don't care who you are. And we talked about this last year as well. But yeah, I can't speedy recovery to you, Alex. Hopefully we'll get you out there soon enough. With the blessing in disguise, we have our bye week after this weekend. So maybe, if possibly, the Washington game, but I think we'll probably wait if you can. Really, it's that I say that Jacksonville game, or even I think we're going to really need them for the Packers game. I think that one's going to be the more important one out of the two.
I agree. The only thing, the Chiefs running game has not been anywhere where it was considered to be a powerhouse, with Pacheco.
Oh, yeah.
They were lucky to get Kareem Hunt back. Kareem Hunt has been trying to make them relevant, but aside from a couple of red zone touches, the running game has not looked anywhere where it's formidable. So I think that Dre Greenlaw and Justin Sternad and whoever decides to be the rotational piece at that are not going to have. It's not going to be a huge issue for them in terms of having to deal with both of those. I think for the Broncos, their biggest challenge defensively is dealing with Rashee Rice, and of course Travis Kelce is always a pain in the neck. We've seen him be the check down darling for Patrick Mahomes, and then Hollywood Brown. So I don't think that PS2 is going to play this week. I think that the Broncos are going to play it safe. And I expect PS2 to come back for the Commanders game, and that should be a tune-up game for him, to be honest with you, just to kind of get him back on the in the feel of things. But I mean, if the Bills can beat Kansas City, the Broncos can beat Kansas City, okay? And that was with Patrick Mahomes' full arsenal, mind you. There was nobody out for that game. That front line, that D-line, is hungry, and they know the Chiefs better than 30 other teams do. The only other teams that probably know them better are the Raiders and the Chargers. The Raiders already had a crack at them, and they played terrible. All the Broncos have to do is they don't have to go out there and be world beaters. They don't have to be out the Cowboys offense or the Seattle Seahawks offense. They don't have to necessarily hang 30 points on the Chiefs unless it's that type of game where it calls for it. They can, like you said, Libre, they can go out there and it can be the same thing. It can be 10-7. Broncos win by 3. And people will still not give Denver their credit. They can blow out. I mean, look at last year. Week 18. The Chiefs decided to sit their starters. And the Broncos walloped their second and third teams. And even then, everybody used the excuses like, oh, well, it's the second and third string. That's what they still didn't get any credit for that, Libre. What were the Broncos supposed to do? So it's like, pick your poison. And last year they only lost to Kansas City because our special teams was not able to hold the Chiefs for literally 1 second so that Will Lutz could kick the game-winning field goal. That was it. Because you can't tell me that if Sean Payton would have known that was going to happen, that he wouldn't have told Bo, hey, man, let's just try to win the game ourselves. Let's get a touchdown out there type of thing. But I can guarantee you that that's not going to happen again.
So I have somebody on my TikTok just said that he goes, hey, I have a hot take. His name is Adan Falela.
Hey, Tocayo.
And he said, he goes, year 3 for Bo Nix and Sean Payton won't be a year 3.
Oh, so he's just like Colin Cowherd. He's thinking that they're going to get rid of Bo Nix.
Well, I don't know. Is it Bo Nix or is it Sean Payton?
No. I don't think so.
Honestly, like, I could see where you're going with that, but I don't think that's going to happen. And that's just me personally.
Yeah.
But I appreciate your hot take.
Yeah. Thanks, Tocayo. I appreciate your hot take. And that's exactly why they're called hot takes. Colin Cowherd has them every damn day, and people still watch his show for some freaking reason. But the ownership wouldn't have let Sean Payton do what he did if they didn't believe that he could turn this team around. They could have fired him. They could have fired him after that Miami game, and they had every reason to do so because no other team up until that point had ever put up 70 points on an opponent like the Dolphins did. And we were all just trying to figure out which finger to point to. And a lot of us wanted Vance Joseph to stay in Miami. Don't come back to Denver. And after that game,
almost happened.
Yeah, it almost happened. But after that game, the Broncos they got on a rocket ship and they went straight up, man. It went up. So I don't see management moving on from Sean Payton. And you guys have to remember, Sean Payton's getting up there in age. There's going to be a point where his coaching style is not going to work in the NFL anymore. So it's either you take the time to learn how the game works now, which is something that Pete Carroll is finding that out for himself, or you just do what he did the first time with the Saints and just say, hey, you know what? It was a fun run. We won some games. It is what it is. This is my last stop. This is where I get off. Richie Rich saying, Adan, yo, Richie Rich, what's going on, my brother? Thank you so much for stopping by. And he also says Sean is going nowhere. He is adapting and doing well. D-Rock saying Bo is surpassing other Hall of Fame quarterbacks in their second year.
I know, especially hey Adan, what's going on, brother? But to his point, yes, if you go back and look at Peyton Manning stats for the first 25 games, looking at John Elway's stats for his first 25 games as a starter, they're not either. They're probably about comparable, or Bo Nix has a little bit better stat numbers than both of these guys. And these are two Hall of Famers that we're talking about. So you have to remember his career is still young. Yes, it's different. The eras are different, and this is the era that you need to show us now or get out. So, and I get that, but patience, guys, patience. It's going to be there. Bo Nix is going to be that guy. He's going to be a Super Bowl MVP at one point. Hopefully it's this year. That's what we're looking for. But if not, like, it will happen here in Denver. Hot take.
Hot take. Sizzling bacon sound. I don't know if you saw this message I put up. Libre says, Libre, my girls were very happy to meet you. Thanks for the hospitality.
Yes, sir, Tim Dog. What's happening, bro? Love meeting the family. Thank you again for showing up and having a good time at the tailgate.
You know I say this a lot on Viva Los Broncos in Spanish, and I don't think I say this enough here on this show. When I tell you guys that Bronco Libre is the celebrity, that's what he really is. And correct me if I'm wrong, Libre, but didn't they just name the fan of the year for the Broncos?
They did. They did that on the 1st of November.
Okay, and I'm really sorry you didn't win, brother.
You know what? And the thing is, it's like, thank you. I appreciate that. And I don't go out there like, yes, I might promote it a little bit here and there, but that's not my main goal. Like, yes, because like the prizes to get out there, to be at the Super Bowl, to get to invited to some exclusive parties during that Super Bowl week. Those are all great. I'm here. What I love to do is to make sure that people come out to games and enjoy their times at the football games. And that's really my goal. That's what I've been doing. That's what I'm going to continue to do. If I happen to be named fan of the year, I'm fan of the year. If not, I'm happy for whoever's gotten it. And this time it was a husband and wife that's out of Pueblo. They've been season ticket holders for a long time. And, you know, I'm happy that they won. They're deserving of it.
I am too. Like I saw the video. It was really nice and everything. I mean, a Broncos barn. That sounds like
it's like an old firehouse that they turned into.
That's
like,
another show coming to you from Johnny Baki's mind. The Bronco barn. But like I'm happy for them too, to be honest with you. I really am. But it's like when I see like all the work that you do and you know all the people that you meet in the tailgates and you know you putting up with Johnny Baki as well. Like you putting up with Johnny should win you automatic tickets to the Super Bowl because I've hung out with Johnny Baki. And
I had 2 games this year.
You had 2 games with him. I had 1. And let me tell you guys something. If you've never hung out with Johnny Baki, you're missing out because Johnny Baki is the life of the party, especially when you put him in his Viking hat and his cape and his cane and his little magic flask of magic juice. There was not one Broncos fan in that Colts game that walked by that Johnny Baki didn't turn around and just hype the F up. All right. So shout out to him. You know, he gave it and he also took it because there were a couple of Colts fans that walked by and talked smack, but Johnny Baki he held his ground. So shout out to him. Hopefully one day he wins fan of the year because he also really much deserves it. I mean, the fact that he's able to create all of this, all the great programming you guys see, he's always doing our backgrounds when we have stuff come up where we can't come on the show and live. He's really understanding. He's never once said, hey man, I need you to do this. And it's like, hey, I understand you got something going on. Do what you got to do. See you guys next week. So he is really cool. He's really understanding. We give him a hard time on this show, but I feel like nobody else really does outside of his family. So that's the only reason why I pick at him. But deep down, I love that man. That man's freaking awesome. Well, he's probably going to play that for like the rest of the year. But ladies and gentlemen, we have reached the end of regulation, which means that Libre and I are ready for some overtime.
Let's go.
And welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. This is Broncos Talk Overtime. If this is your first time here, this is the moment where Libre and I let down our hair figuratively, where we open the doors and talk about anything going on in our lives that we want to get off of our chest. During the offseason, it's 90% always not football related, but if we can find a way to bring it back, we do. During the season, Libre and I and the Chad like to give out our picks for the week for the other remaining games. So, with that being said, your cousin says, Adan, ask Libre how I am at games. I'm the super fan in the family.
He's not no super fan. I'll let you know that. He might be a loud fan, but is he a super fan though? No, he's really good. He knows a lot of old former players and all that. He's really good, but he's really loud. And then at the end of the game, you can't hear him anymore.
Tim Dog asks you, how hard was it to hold the flag in the wind, Libre?
Well, you know what? Like for our practice itself, I don't know if you guys saw it, but Mike Kliss and also some other people posted on their social medias about the flag itself during practice, and that was about 3 p.m. Mountain Standard Time or 3:30 Mountain Standard Time when we were inside the stadium holding the flag. Let me tell you, that wind was intense. Like trying to hold on to that flag and not let it like start flapping and going like into the stadium was intense. It was so like your hands were like tight on there, like it was hurting like a little bit. But fortunately, right before game time, like when we did the national anthem, the winds have calmed down, so the flags were actually pretty nice to maintain and do all that. But let me tell you, when I first started, like when we did the practice, I didn't actually run out onto the field itself. I was right there at the goal line, and just holding it there just was tough. But knowing what side you needed to be on to go out and run on the field, I said, all right, I'm on this side. I'm going to be running out on the field. Best experience ever.
All right, Libre, let's get down to the action. Thursday night game, we have the New York Jets at 2-7 going on the road against the New England Patriots. Now, this has trap game written all over it, Libre. The last couple of Thursday night games have definitely had that feeling to it. And the Jets are in a little bit of a hot streak, Libre. They won their last 2 games. So, who has the lead? Good question. I have 90 points, and Libre and Chat are tied with 92. So, I know I don't have the other sheet now, but the Green Bay game, you guys both went Green Bay, and I went Philly, so that helped put me over to 90. So, and I have a feeling we're going to be in difference of opinion in some of these, but Libre, as I think the Jets would have had a much better chance if they hadn't traded away Quinnen Williams and Sauce Gardner. And this as much as I want to say trap game, I know I did, but I'm going to go out on a limb and just say that Drake May just puts BTA on the Jets.
I agree with you. It's, again, going back to our conversation earlier, it's a divisional game. They see each other all the time, but the Jets are in a complete rebuild right now. So I'm going to go Patriots as well.
And then Sunday games, we have the Washington Commanders at 3-7. Going against the Miami Dolphins. This is the Spain game. So both these teams are 3-7. I don't know what the hell the Miami Dolphins are doing. I don't know which direction they're going, but the fact that they handled Buffalo the way they did was surprising at least. The Commanders are just they're in shambles, Libre. The injury bug has hit them worse than the 49ers. And right now, they really should just be trying to play for next year, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
But I thought Marcus Mariota would be able to be okay. But I even with the Dolphins losing Jalen Phillips to the Eagles, if Miami can play like they did against the Bills, I can see them winning that game. So I'm going to pick Miami.
I'm going to pick Miami as well. Chat has the Commanders.
Yeah. Devon Achan last week. Jesus Christ, that man was like a man possessed. Ran all crazy. Carolina Panthers at 5-5, going on the road to face the Atlanta Falcons at 3-6. These are two teams again, Libre, that we just can't get a hold on. I mean, the Panthers losing to the Saints last week, they should have beat them, and they lost. The Falcons taking the Colts to overtime and not having an answer for Jonathan Taylor. That would have been a big win for the Falcons. They should have won that game, to be honest with you. But the Falcons just can't get it right with Michael Penix or Kirk Cousins. Kirk Cousins continues to be that really expensive bag on the bench. And I really don't know who to pick out of these two because I think these two teams are bad. But I'm trying to figure out who's worse. And I want to say that, it's going to be an interesting battle between Bijan Robinson and Rico Dowdle. So, but the Falcons seem to play better at home. So, except for that Miami game where they got lost. So, I'm going to say the Falcons.
I am going to go with the Panteras.
Ooh. Chat says Panthers.
Panthers.
Ooh, Panteras too.
There's a one more game ahead of you now.
Yeah. Next, we have the Tampa Bay Buccaneers at 6-3, going to Buffalo, also 6-3. So both teams 6-3, playing in Buffalo. Again, I don't know what the hell happened to Josh Allen. He completely turned back into a pumpkin at midnight in Miami or against Miami. And the Bucs injuries caught up to them. They were not able to keep in stride with the Patriots. That was a really good game, though. Got to give credit to Baker Mayfield, just trying to do what he can with what he has.
Mm-hmm.
And I honestly don't think that the Bucs are going to win another, be the Bucs that they were, where they were dominating, until they get Bucky Irving back. It kind of worries me that the Bucky Irving timeline, there's no definite answer. It's like they don't know when he's coming back. And I feel like they're holding out hope instead of waving the white flag and say, hey, we're going to shut down Bucky for the season. And I really do hope that they don't put him in a place where if he's really injured and they force him to play, that makes it worse. So that to me worries me a lot. Mike Evans is due to come back, I think, mid to late December. And Godwin just doesn't seem to be the player they wanted him to be honest with you. I think the Bills bounce back in this game because Bills play a whole lot better at home. So I'm going to say Buffalo.
I'm going to go with the Bills as well, but this is going to be a high-scoring game for these guys. Baker's not going to be able to he's going to be able to get out there and still produce some points. He has Mbike Mbuka, the rookie wide receiver. He's going to be able to do that. Without Bucky, that's going to be where they hurt and where they, like how you said it. But yes, the Bills will win this game.
Next, we have the Chargers at 7-3, going to Jacksonville to face the Jacksonville Jaguars at 5-4. I mean, I didn't think the Jags could beat the Chiefs a couple weeks ago, and they did on Monday Night Football. So, but the Chargers have been a kind of a roll these last two games, Libre. I mean, they stomped the Vikings. They I don't know if you can say they stopped the Steelers, but they beat them. So, but then again, it's any given Sunday. And I want to say that the Chargers' luck runs out here. So I'm going to say Jacksonville wins this game.
As much as I want the Jacksonville to play, I think with Travis Hunter going out is going to really hurt them.
Mm-hmm.
And Sunshine doesn't have enough to beat the Chargers, so I'm going to go with the Chargers.
Okay. And chat says Chargers too. All right. This is another game where we split. Next, we have the Bears at 6-3 going on the road to face the Minnesota Vikings at 4-5. I don't know what's going on with the Vikings, Libre. I don't know if we said this last week, but it's starting to look like the Vikings may have messed up by letting Sam Darnold walk. And it should have been where they kept him. They should have kept him and, see what McCarthy can do in his first year playing as a Viking. And it really sucks because he has great weapons in Justin Jefferson and Jordan Addison, but he's not seeing them or he's not using them to the best of their ability. And the Bears, I mean, they have a good chance to give the Lions a run for their money. They're in second place in the division. The Packers are playing terrible. So, but I'm going to say that the Bears win this game, Lee Rig. I think they win.
You said the game's in Minnesota?
Yeah.
So, again, a divisional game. So, it seems like there's a lot of divisional games this weekend as well.
Mm-hmm.
But, yeah, I'm going to say I agree with you. The Bears seem to be rolling at this time. It looks like Caleb Williams is actually starting to play like the number one draft pick like he was picked. So, I'm going to go with the Bears.
The Bears. Green Bay Packers at 5-3-1 going on the road to play the Giants in New York at MetLife. At the Giants at 2-8. Libre, if the Packers can't beat the Giants, even though they're being led by Jameis Winston, without Brian Dable, I don't know. I don't really think it matters who they name as the interim head coach. Then the Packers have a lot of issues.
Yep.
Bigger issues at hand. But this should be a cakewalk for Jordan Love. So I'm going to say Packers win this game.
Go, Pack, go.
Libre in chat says, ooh, Packers, Giants, and an upset.
Tim Dog with the upset. And then they were shy with the Packers. So favorite goes to the Packers.
Packers, yeah.
I like your hot take, Tim Dog.
Yeah. Again, Tim Dog, if you're right, go buy a lottery ticket, bro, because your luck is on a roll.
Hey, and for everyone that's out there, go watch his show tomorrow night.
Yeah. Make sure you catch the Outcast tomorrow night at 7:00 Mountain Time. Chicago. Cincinnati Bengals at 3-6 go on the road against the Pittsburgh Steelers at 5-4. Listen, I don't know why they're rushing Joe Burrow out on that field, Libre. They're 3-6. There is no reason why the Bengals should be rushing Joe Burrow out there. Joe Flacco's doing a pretty good job at trying to keep that offense relevant. It's the defense that's cost them their losses, their 6 losses. So throwing Burrow out there, that offensive line is going to get him killed and hurt again. So the Bengals just need to do what they can with what they have. They need to go into the offseason. They need to go and spend some money or trade or do whatever they have to do. That offensive line just needs to be beefed up because if this season was indicative of anything, it's that your offensive line is trash and they cannot protect your most valuable asset, which is your quarterback. But the Steelers, again, another team that plays harder at home. And if I'm not mistaken, the Bengals beat the Steelers a couple weeks ago in that Thursday night game. So they have the one up here. And I'm going to go out on a limb and say that the Bengals get the sweep here.
Ooh, so does the chat said that as well. They go Bengals in a close one.
Yeah.
But I'm going to go with the steel curtain.
Ooh. You think there's a bounce back game for Aaron Rodgers?
Yeah.
Ooh.
Just like you said, they're at home now.
Yeah. I mean, technically, they shouldn't have lost the first one, and they did. So it's going to be, the Unk Bowl round 2.
Yeah.
The Texans at 4-5 going on the road to face the Tennessee Titans at 1-8. I don't think we need to waste any time here. That defense is second best to what Denver has, and the Tennessee Titans, Cam Ward is just going to have another bad day at school. So I'm going to say Texans.
The Titans. No, I lied.
Oh, man.
I'm going to say Houston. Houston.
Waiting for chat to see what they say.
Texans.
Yeah,
I think it's going to be Texans. Yeah. There it is.
Texans, got it. Next, we have the 49ers at 6-4 going on the road to face the Arizona Cardinals at 3-6. It almost feels like Kyler Murray's just done in Arizona, or that they're done with Kyler Murray. I mean, either way you spin it, you can't seem to be wrong. The 49ers unfortunately got shellacked by the Rams last week. They were lucky to beat them the first time.
Seahawks.
With you. The what?
It was the Seahawks.
Oh, the Seahawks. Sorry.
Yeah, Cardinals. Yeah, it was terrible. 28-0, like after the first quarter or something like that.
Yeah, it was bad.
So just to not waste any time for me, it's bang bang Niner gang.
Yeah, I agree too. I think the Cardinals just need to kind of hang it up and go back to the drawing board.
They should let Arizona State play for them.
Wait, so who did the 49ers play, or the Rams play?
Who was that the Rams played?
I thought it was the Niners.
It was no, it was the Niners. I was thinking because I thought it said Arizona.
Yeah,
Seattle played Arizona.
Yeah, Seattle clapped Arizona.
Yeah,
it was Seattle. I mean, both of those games were not even close because the Rams just took the lead. But,
yeah.
Speaking of the Seahawks, Libre, the Seattle Seahawks at 7-2 going on the road to face the LA Rams at 7-2 as well. This is probably going to be the game of the week here, Libre. Let me tell you, these are two teams.
Well, talking about the game of the week, NBC is not going to be in LA. NBC is going to be here in Denver. So they have NBC here in Denver for this game. So the Broncos Chiefs game is technically the game of the week.
Yeah. And I mean, it's just I'm trying to
I'm going to go with the Seahawks.
Ah, damn it, Libre. I was going to try to read your mind.
You're too slow.
But
go like how my cousin says it. We're going to go with the Sea Chickens.
The Sea Chickens. I think that Matt Stafford is playing like MVP-esque football. And I don't think that ends. Now, I will say it will be concerning to see Devontae Adams if he can go, because he has been a crucial weapon in that arsenal. But the way that Matt Stafford has been spreading the ball, hell, he was throwing it to players I had never even heard of. So, but it looks like this is where we split again, Libre. Go Rams, go. And next we have Baltimore Ravens at 4-5, Libre, going against the Cleveland Browns at 2-7. Now, I don't know if this is true, but I just saw a message that said that supposedly Lamar Jackson is questionable for this game.
He did not practice today. So, yes, he is now questionable because he got beat up.
Yeah, so that's not very promising. If they have to go... I mean, the Cleveland Browns offense is nothing to be afraid of, but the defense has been playing pretty good. And this is a division game too, Libre.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that the role that the Ravens are, I think as long as it's not something serious with Lamar where he has to sit out like a hamstring or something, I think that the Ravens win it. So I'm going to say Ravens on that one.
I concur. The Ravens. So does chat.
And then Sunday Night Football, Libre, Detroit Lions at 6-3, going on the road to face the Philadelphia Eagles at 7-2. I think this is a game for the Lions to win than the Eagles, because again, this is going back to the playoffs last year, or the year before when they got knocked out. And that offense kind of seems to have found their groove. I mean, they walloped the Commanders last week. Once Dan Campbell took control of the offensive calls. So, I mean, I know that the Eagles got Jalen Phillips, but what we saw from them this past Monday, I hope that the Eagles can say it was just a bad day at the office, just like we were saying it for the Broncos. But and I mean, you got a frustrated AJ Brown. Saquon Barkley has looked nowhere near like the world beater he was last year. So
Nope.
there's some questions there on offense. Now, the Lions defense is pretty beat up, so they're going to have their hands full trying to guard both A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith and Dallas Goedert at that. So, but I think that the buzzsaw that the Lions are, I think it's just not enough for the Eagles to overcome. So I'm going to say that the Lions win that game.
I'm going to go with the Lions as well because Jamar Gibbs he's beast mode, or like how my son likes to say it, he's my GOAT. He's my GOAT. Jamar Gibbs is my GOAT. He's my GOAT. Like, and he has actually been producing. And I don't know, I just saw something today with AJ Brown saying to all his fantasy owners, he goes, if you have me on your fantasy team, drop me now. Yeah, get rid of me because it's not looking too good over there. So yeah, because of that distraction that's happening now in that locker room, they like I said, they're coming off of that Super Bowl win, and they are not the same team as they were.
Yeah. And then for the Monday night game, we have the Dallas Cowboys at 3-5-1 going on the road against the Las Vegas Raiders at 2-7. I don't need to tell you who I want to pick in this one. If the Raiders beat the Cowboys, it would probably be like the biggest upset of the year at this point. But the Cowboys coming back off of that bye week, that embarrassing loss against Arizona, that ass whooping that they got from the Broncos the week before, they're due for a win, and I think that they'll get it in Las Vegas. So I'm going to say Cowboys.
Puro pinche Cowboys.
And I can guarantee you now, Libre, that is the winning combination, and that is going to be my comeback for next week for me to take the lead. But it's crazy when you really think about it, how you can do one thing or say one thing and then the opposite happens in terms of being completely wrong or completely right.
I have my boy Sean Grave real quick. He just said Cowboys are terrible on the road, so he's taking the Las Vegas Faders.
The Faders. But ladies and gentlemen, that is going to do it for the overtime segment of today's show. Libre and I would like to thank all the people here in the chat: Shai Vargas, Juan Marquez, Tim Dog. Who else did we have in here, Libre? I know I saw my old co-host in here, Richie Rich stopping by, D-Rock,
Medlock,
Chris Bacon. I just realized his name is Crispy Bacon. Mahai Missy and Mahai Medlock. Ladies and gentlemen, before we head on out of here, we'd like to ask you once again to please show your support for us here on the show. If you could please subscribe, share, comment, and like on this and all of the other programs on the show. If there's anything you guys heard us say that you agree, don't agree with, want to dispute, argue, no problem. Feel free to hit that comment section up, and Libre and I or somebody here on the network will get in tune with you ASAP. And of course, your support is always much appreciated. For those of you listening to us by audio, doesn't matter what platform you're listening, please feel free to give us a 5-star review. I greatly appreciate it. If you'd like to send a screenshot of that review and send it to us here at our socials, our Twitter handles are right there at the bottom, and we will be more than happy to shout you guys out here live on the show. My Twitter handle is at a 6'10" Mexican. Bronco Libre is at Bronco Libre 5280. Shout out to the sponsor of today's show, which was Dubby. If you use the code OBN10, you'll get 10% off your order at checkout on all of the Dubby great products and delicious flavors that they have to offer. Shout out to Dubby for being a continued sponsor of this and all the shows here on the network. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to head on out of here, and hopefully we can come back to you guys next Wednesday with much better results and a much more better attitude start to the show and less criticism. So, Libre, if you have anything to add before we head on out of here.
Hey, let's go out there and, like they say, FUKC.
Can we say that on the air?
I just did.
I guess we can. Ladies and gentlemen, he's Bronco Libre. I'm Adan Diaz. This has been Broncos Talk here on the Orange and Blue Network. So with that, we say good night, good so long, and as always, go Broncos!
Go Broncos!
Let's go.